Can I go ahead, DTM
Yes,
Talha?
yes.
Okay.
Sorry, just a few seconds. It's just loading. I'll let you know when it does. Yes, now you can go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Quantum Leap Advanced Toastmasters Club meeting number 19. I am playing the role of Sergeant at Arms, and my role is to begin the meeting. But before we begin the meeting, we have a couple of ground rules to follow. Rule number 1, put your all noise making devices in silent mode or switch them off. Rule number 2, please don't speak about sex, religion, politics in a derogatory manner. Rule number 3, turn off your audio until your turn comes to speak. Number 4, please switch on your camera if possible so that the speaker can have face-to-face speaking experience. Rule number 5 and the last one, if you are making any major movements before the camera, please turn off the camera before you make a movement. And with this, I would like to hand over the control to the presiding officer, DTM Saif. I think, sir, you are on mute.
Normally, this happened with me. Thank you very much, DTM Ajay. What a wonderful introduction and the start of the meeting. I really appreciate in the early hours in the Saturday morning. It's always difficult to have a meeting, but you people are committed toward the Toastmaster, and that is our growth. Well, Toastmaster, do we have minutes of meeting? Toastmaster Talha, is the secretary is around?
We had just logged in, but he's facing some internet trouble, so he's trying to fix them.
Okay.
But he did share the minutes of the last meeting. So if you allow, I can briefly go through them.
Please.
Yes. So in the last two meetings, in fact, on the 25th June meeting, we had a keynote from DTM Muhammad Farooq, and it was a memorable one about Iqbal and celestial bodies. We had two speakers, Toastmaster Mubina Roof and Toastmaster Hina Ali, and we had table topics master as DTM Ajay. The theme was to infinity and beyond. Uh, Best lead evaluator was won by myself, and best round robin evaluator was won by Toastmaster Umar Shahid, and best big three by DTM GK Ajay. As for the last meeting, it was held on.
I think before Eid.
Yeah. Let me just quickly bring it up. It was held right before Eid, in fact, and yeah, it was held on July 9th, and it had a keynote address from Toastmaster Zahra Ibrahim, and it was about Down syndrome and its impact on society. There was one speaker, DTM Sudarshan, and table topics master was Toastmaster Iram Rizvi, but it was changed since he could not participate back then. So that is pretty much it, sir. And I believe we did not have voting in the previous meeting unless I'm mistaken. So that's pretty much it, sir. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Acting Toastmaster DTM Talha. Fellow Toastmaster, do you have any amendment, deletion, addition in the minutes of the meeting? If none, minutes are adopted as a true record of the club. Thank you very much once again, DTM Talha. You are always having many hats on your head. Fellow Toastmasters, do you know what is the gavel? I don't know if you can see it or not. Let me change the background how to change the background.
Sir, I put it on the front. You.
Okay,
It's in your
now I
hand as
change
well.
the background. No, it's okay now. Here is a gavel. What is a gavel? The purpose of the gavel in the Toastmaster Club. The gavel is a symbol of power given by the membership to the executive committee, specifically to whoever is leading the meeting. And there is certain purpose how to use it. If you are just tapping twice, it's mean meeting is started. If you are going to tap one, the meeting is adjourned. Okay? If the crowd is not in order, then the presiding officers will keep continue until each and every one is taking place. If any decision has been taken during the club meeting, so you have to tap the one. So there are also many other rules. If someone is not listening to you as a presiding officer, you can go and hit to his head. This is a joke part, but why I'm sharing with this one, I believe that we are all having a membership of ourselves in a different clubs. So if we are going to share it in our clubs, wherever we are going, in our mother club or the base club, so we share and will educate them. It is not the sharing, it's a growth is depend on our each and every action. The more we will share our knowledge, wisdom, intellectual property, the more we'll grow. By having said this one, we have a full agenda lined up with the keynote speakers, the speakers, table topic sessions, and the beauty of the Toastmaster is evaluation, immediate feedback. And there is a person, he's down to earth personality, is very humble, is a soft spoken. And believe in me, if you need anyone, any help, anything, just send a WhatsApp message, not even to call him, just send a WhatsApp message immediately in 1 minute time or maximum 2 minute time. He will say, yes, sir, I can do it. Please put your hand together, welcoming our Toastmaster of the day, none other than DTM Talha bin Hamid. Over to DTM Talha bin Hamid.
Thank you so much, Mr. President, for your kind words. And everyone, welcome to another wonderful meeting today. Today's meeting is growth. Theme is growth. And what is growth? Growth can be financial, growth can be technical, growth can be spiritual, growth can be ethical. The important thing is that we must strive to be better at whatever we are doing, whatever we have, whatever skills we have, every minute, every second versus how we were yesterday or day before yesterday. And that's growth. Most things which most people and most things which reach greatness do not do so in one leap. There is no quantum leap that takes you from zero to greatness. There's always hard work, there's always time, and there's always patience. And it's always step by step. And the growth that we achieve in a step-by-step manner is sustainable and it is real growth. One example is Toastmasters itself. When we all joined Toastmasters, we Of course, our communication and leadership capacities are limited, and even if we think they're great, slowly and gradually we find out what we are missing. And that is the first humbling experience in Toastmasters. We see other speakers, we see other leaders, we witness speeches, and we think that, I thought I was quite good, but this is another world entirely. And when that happens, the one thing that Toastmasters does is it provides you an opportunity to reach that level rather than asking you to give up. Because in Toastmasters, you are allowed to make mistakes, try and try again. And there are always people guiding you about how to reach a certain level, about how to reach your aspirations. So that is also, of course, the purpose behind Quantum Leap, where we are supposed to learn in this club to be more productive, more meaningful components of mankind through learning, through knowledge, and through understanding how the universe works. So, towards that end, as Mr. President pointed out, we have a full agenda, and we'll have certain role plays today to assist us with the meeting. Our first role player is our language evaluator and our secretary, DTM Saad. So DTM Saad, would you explain your role and also word of the day?
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the Day, fellow Toastmasters and honorable guests. Good morning to everyone. My role as the language evaluator is to actually keep an eye on the good use of the language, and also those areas that can be worked upon, and the word of the day is aesthetic, which means anything which is pleasing or that makes you feel good. So please you can use this word whenever you speak, and at the end I'll present my report. Over to you, Toastmaster Tala.
Thank you so much, DTM Saad. And thanks for the beautiful word of the day. Next role is timer, which will be done by me. And as we all know, timing is one of the primary components of Toastmasters. So when you reach a minimum time for any speech or segment, I'll show you the green background. And for the intermediate time, it will be the yellow background. And for the maximum time, it will be the red background. And seeing red means that you have 30 seconds to wind up. Please make sure that my window is visible to you. And the individual timings will be explained as and when the segments arrive. One more job that I have, and hopefully I'm able to do it adequately, is to keep an eye on the overall time of the meeting and to ensure that the meeting remains on track time-wise. And since the TMOD also happens to be me, it should be quite easy. So let's see. I've painted myself into a corner, especially in the eyes of Mr. President. I hope I'm able to fulfill this duty. So with that, we move on to our keynote speaker today, who is DTM Sudarshan. In Quantum Leap, he hardly needs any introduction. what one wouldn't know after listening to him and witnessing his speeches is that he's by profession a fintech specialist, a banker, a thought leader, and a lot of other things. And not only he is in stark contradiction to his profession, but he somehow finds ways to meld his profession pursuits with his personal uh, pursuits and intellectual pursuits. So that's always amazing to see. He's also a TEDx speaker, and today he'll be presenting a keynote on growth hacking. The keynote is budgeted at 15 minutes, and there will be a 5-minute Q&A session after that. So everyone, please put your hands together for DTM Sudarshan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, good morning. Let me start with sharing my screen. Don't worry, I am not here to take a maths class. I am not here to teach statistics. But given that the club's name is Quantum Leap, to take a quantum leap in life, it's that need to meld together. They need to be aesthetically pleasing, commercially viable, and above all, personally satisfying. So, what are these three ingredients? You need to find an opportunity, you need to connect the gap in the market to the solution that you've got, and ultimately, that solution needs to be unique to you. You need to create something which is brand you. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what is growth hacking. So, what is growth hacking? Growth hacking is a term that was coined about 25 years back when the internet boom started. And this is a term used by marketeers, especially to drive traffic to their website and therefore growth hacking from a very different perspective. And over the course of the next few slides, I will try to describe what I mean by that. But first and foremost, let's look at this caption that I've put on the slide, which is from none other than Mahatma Gandhi, which reads something like this: live life as if you were to die tomorrow, learn as if you were to live forever. What does this mean? Whether you are a 12-year-old kid who's just learned coding, whether you're a 21-year-old who's just stepped out of college, whether you're a 35-year-old who is not getting that promotion which you wanted, or whether you are that 47-year-old who just got laid off and does not know what the future holds. For all of us, the solution is only one: keep learning. Keep which means your current status quo can get disturbed at any point in time, but you are learning as if your bag of tricks is never going to end. You, ladies and gentlemen, are growth hackers. So I've talked about growth hacking for a few minutes. Let's look at what it really means. Can anyone from the audience tell me why have I got these three logos here? I'm sure most of you know what this is: McDonald's, Airbnb, and Facebook. Let me start with the first one on the top left corner for me, McDonald's. There was a gentleman in the United States who, when he used to travel on sales, used to miss one thing, which was food that was tasty, that was quick to get, cheap, and available. This gentleman found that this was a universal problem. When the problem was identified, he also identified a solution. And the solution that he identified was something that was easy to cook, easy to assemble, can be eaten with one hand while you are on the move. What did he do? He went to McDonald Brothers, who had a single burger shop, proposed to them that I will take this up and convert it into something unique. What did he do? He went and parked his restaurant on the side of the interstates in the United States. Basically, the place where all truck drivers drive and taking goods from point A to point B. And suddenly, the brand McDonald's was born with this unique USP of quick, fast, cheap, available 24/7. And that $1 brand all over the world. The next one, two friends, both from Rhode Island School of Design, both highly qualified, completely broke, had no prospects. One got laid off, one had not got a job, and they had one apartment for which the rent was due. They were looking out for opportunities to get some money to get food the next day, when the newspaper that they were looking at had a big ad which said, in the city that they are in, San Diego, there was a convention happening and hotels were all full. These guys immediately contacted a third friend of theirs and said, listen, we are just two of us. We can sleep in one of the rooms in our house. We want to let our house out. Can you write a small ad which said, we have an air mattress, we have eggs and ham in our fridge. If somebody wants to come and sleep in our house and pay us $50, we are willing to give you that air mattress, and in the morning we'll give you a breakfast of eggs and ham. 3 people turned up: an Indian advertising professional, a traveling salesperson, and a lady executive who had missed her flight. 3 people showed up to their house. They stayed the night. They woke up in the morning and paid these gentlemen $50 for a breakfast of eggs and ham. Out of that was born this mega brand called Airbnb, which today is one of the largest real estate companies in the world, which does not own a single piece of real estate. All it to people that need a place to stay, and that was the genesis of this brand. The third one, we all use, we all abuse, we all curse, but we cannot get away from it. Our friendly neighborhood devil, Facebook. Started out as a tool for people on a particular campus to connect, has evolved into a plethora of things. For me personally, I've connected back with friends that I had lost 25 years or more ago. I'm sure some stories like that abound the internet space, but this was again something concocted out of imagination of a person who realized people want to connect with each other, people want to know what's happening with their friends. I will create a platform. So these are global examples of how growth hacking was applied. But why should we look at those kind of examples? This is the picture of a young man that I met when I was about 14 years old, and this person was about 11 years old. He used to bring bags of vegetables to my house, and every time he brought vegetables, the one thing that my mother used to comment on was the way he stacked the vegetables is such that the tomatoes are on top, the potatoes are at the bottom, and the bag is so beautifully arranged that she does not have to spend any effort in taking things out and putting it in the fridge. From that point onwards, this kid was interesting to me, but I lost touch. I went off to do my studies, etc. And this person decided that he is going to do something with his life. Just a small background: as a kid of 7 or 8, he failed in his hands, had the gift of the gab, joined a vegetable seller, started washing vegetables as his first job, then stacking vegetables, then delivering vegetables, to finally cutting vegetables and packing them. One fine day, he decided to borrow 500 rupees, get a bicycle on the back of which he started a dosa business. Dosa, for those of you that don't know, is an Indian crepe, which is a huge delicacy down south, but all over India is one of the most popular snacks. With 500 rupees, one bicycle, he started a small business. Slowly but surely, that bicycle became a push cart. The push cart was about to become an auto rickshaw when the push cart was taken away by the municipal authorities. The guy didn't give up, restarted the business. Now, with the push, run away a little faster when the cops came. From there, he went on to rent a small shop, to the point where when I was doing my MBA, I happened to get off at a railway station which was still under construction because I had to take another bus to go somewhere. And I find this guy calling me, "Hey, come here, taste my dosa." He remembered me, I didn't. To today, he is running a 30 crore empire of dosas all over India, holding the Guinness Book of World Record for a restaurant which serves the most number of dosa types in one restaurant. This, ladies and gentlemen, is an example of how growth hacking really can apply to you and me and to everyone else. Someone that was uneducated to someone today delivering lectures at the best business schools in India. That, ladies and gentlemen, is growth hacking. So fabulous. I've talked about growth hacking. Why is it relevant to you, to me, and to all of us? Well, in all our lives, I believe we are all building a tent, and these tents stand on 5 pillars. Pillar number 1 is dig deep. I started this by saying you could be a student in school, you could be a graduate from college, you could be a mid-career professional, you could be an end-career professional, and you've been stuck in a situation. What does dig deep really mean? It really means that your journey thus far has endowed you with a lot of attributes. All you need to do is to look back and realize that you've had a magnificent journey, and if destiny has brought you to this point, it will take you further. All you need is resilience. That resilience will take you further, and that is why stand for something. What does that mean? DTM Talha described me in various different ways because I project an image of that kind. I stand for something. Each of us stands for a unique attribute that only we have, which nobody else has. So the way I describe this is, you cannot be a potato. A potato is a ubiquitous vegetable which has nothing of its own. It is just a brown blob. And therefore, if you choose to be a potato, you will be included in a curry, you will be included in a biryani, you will be included in every other dish with no unique identification for yourself. A biryani is known by the meat that you put in, a curry is known by the other vegetable that you put in, but the potato is just there. How do you stand for something? You have to discover yourselves. And what is the best place to discover what is in you? The single most interesting place that all of us occupy every morning. No, I'm not talking about the pot. I'm talking about your wash basin and when you brush your teeth. When you brush your teeth and look at the man in the mirror, you will realize who you are. And you need to really dig deep to find out who you are. And if you are not able to find who you are, my single important recommendation, brush a little longer. I'm sure if nothing else happens, your teeth will shine a little whiter. But that's the best place to stand for something and know what you stand for. The third is dive in head first. This is without doubt a very, very important attribute. Because when we start something with gusto and then we try to poke our pinky finger into the because guess what? Your journey thus far has prepared you for the storm that is going to come. But if you don't have the courage to face the storm, you will not enjoy the journey further. The fourth one is be a potato. I just said some time back, don't be a potato. Now I'm saying be a potato. Why do I say that? If you go back to your house kitchens, and especially if you have some elderly person in your house, they will say, if you put too much salt or too much masala in your food, just take one boiled potato and place it in the vessel. It will absorb all the flavors and create magic for you. It will then suddenly become something totally unique. Let me give you an example here. I had no money to give her a gift. I was telling this sob story to a friend of mine. He just kept listening, listening and listening. Then turns around to me and does this, says, chill. So I will take care. Next morning at 6 o'clock, I get a handcrafted card which has on the cover page a chocolate stuck which says, I will the chocolate for you. And the chocolate in between was a Milky Way bar. I will cross a Milky Way for you. And inside was a bunch of other chocolates. Suddenly, a business was born. And in that Valentine's Day, that 17-year-old made 5,000 rupees, which, ladies and gentlemen, was a lot of money in those days. Last but not least, according to me, is the most important. All it means is that you have to be always positive. You have to always rejoice in somebody else's success, because my philosophy has always been, if DTM Talha is successful, if DTM Ajay is successful in this meeting, even I'm going to be successful, because if nothing else happens, I'm going to go out of this meeting with a bunch of learning. So when you approach everything with that level of positivity, it is bound to happen that you will become a magnet for everything that is positive around you. And the more positivity that you attract to yourself, the more positivity that you radiate. When you go out to a venture capitalist and say, this is my idea, the venture capitalist not only sees your idea, he sees your commitment, he sees how much you have dived in head first, but he also sees how much positivity you bring to the table. And those are the entrepreneurs that command the big bucks in the market. If you are a positive individual, the other four automatically get elevated. These 5 pillars, if you make them strong enough, your tent will withstand the vagaries of nature that may come your way. Ultimately, as I finish, all I would like to say is, if we all do what is absolutely necessary, for example, coming to this meeting, prepare for your meetings properly. If you do that, you will suddenly start doing what is possible. Unlike me, you will deliver your speech in the time allocated. And finally, you will suddenly stand on top of the international podium with your trophy, because you are doing the impossible and making it possible. So, ladies and gentlemen, to all you growth hackers, go out there and hack it away, because as we say in our part of the world, Jugaad is king. Growth hacking is nothing else but doing it the best way that you can. Thank you, and back to you, Mr. T. Modi.
Thank you so much, DTM Sudarshan. And while I will take a lot of things away from this, but one precious thing I will do take away is that the pronunciation of this ubiquitous word, ubiquitous, which I've heard pronounced aloud for the first time in my life. I always wonder how it is pronounced. So thank you so much for that. And of course, some of your ideas, and of course, most of your ideas, but some were really, really eye-opening, especially about the last one you mentioned about venture capitalists and radiating positivity. That is something, it's completely different from what we imagine, how we imagine things going. So everyone, we have 5 minutes for Q&A. So please, first we have a comment from Toastmasters Zahra Ibrahim, who had to leave. It's a wonderful keynote speaker, informative with such concrete examples, thoroughly enjoyed it. Now I have to leave. I still remember the counts of my Morova, and from my last speech, working upon it. Bye. So yeah, you have a fan, DTM Subversion. And anyone else with a question, please go ahead now, raise your hand.
Yes, DTM
Yes,
sir.
yes, yes, Mr. President. Yes, sir.
You're on mute, sir.
The same, you know what happened with me always. DTM Sudarshan is a wonderful presentation in the morning, and really you put a lot of efforts in putting the things together. And in a nutshell, you spend a lot of time, maybe the 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or the month, but we got all your knowledge and the wisdom within 30 minutes, within 20 minutes. My, my questions to you, you mentioned about the 5 pillars. Did you apply in your personal life?
Yes. So the example that I would like to share with you for my personal life journey is very simple. About 4 years back, I suddenly encountered a turbulence in my life, and I was basically being forced to leave my job by my then boss. And initially, I had almost given up and decided to pack my bags and come back to India. But that's when I dug deep, looked at what my where I decided to look at an opportunity and create something out of what I knew. And that is my example of what I had applied. I'm happy to say that that company which I started, I was eventually able to sell to an investor, and today it is a part of a much larger global conglomerate.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster DTM Sudarshan.
Thank you.
That was great. Anyone else with a question? Please raise your hand. All right. I have a question, and this relates to one of the remarks that you made towards the end. It was about since growth hack and hack brings us to mind jugaad, but then you said that uh, it simply means doing the best you can, and I believe that's a beautiful statement. Like it's a beautiful summary of. So, what do you think? Do you think that success or growth gained through rapidly through jugaad or hacks, not the hacks that you mentioned, but other hacks, does it last long, or should we organically earn our successes?
So, necessity is the mother of invention. That is my philosophy. And in our part of the world, the word jugaad has got a bad meaning simply because we use jugaad to do things which we are not supposed to do. But ultimately, if you really look at it, I'll give you an example. This is something that everybody in India and Pakistan will be able to relate. There is which plies in parts of India and parts of Pakistan, more towards the border towns of Rajasthan in India and Pakistan. This is called the Chakra Rickshaw. Chakra is basically a vehicle which is a converted Harley Davidson. They take old 1950s, 1960s Harley Davidson and put a big, basically a big square block at the back, and they put passengers on top of it and they take them around to places. Now, this is a jugaad of a vehicle which would have otherwise been condemned and thrown away in scrap heap. And this is something that came out of somebody's imagination, somebody's jugaad. And that was because that person wanted to carry grains and crops from his field to the market. Now, this is organic in its origin. This is jugadu in its outcome, but ultimately it is today a thriving business, almost business in India and Pakistan, because that is something that they do. They import old bikes from US, bring it, put this whole box at the back and start taking passengers, charging them 15 rupees per journey. Now, this is what I meant by jugaad. The jugaad that you are referring to is when you put two hooks on the electrical wire and pull electricity from the state electricity board without paying your bills. Now, that jugaad fundamentally happens because people are deprived of basic necessities. So that, in fact, according to me, is not so bad. where there is a Harvard Business School study which says that these jugards actually propel governments to improve their policies and make amenities available to people. So ultimately, if it results in positive benefits for people, the path is what matters. I think a couple of deviations here and there is, as they say in our part of the world, chalta hai.
Thank you so much. Once again, you ended up adding so much to our way of thinking and perception through that response. And with that, we've run out of time for the Q&A. Anybody who has another question, please feel free to put it in the chat box. Next segment is something unique to Quantum Leap. And to my knowledge, it doesn't happen in any other club on the planet. I haven't seen it. And why I'm so sure? Because I came up with the name. So how can it happen in any other club? So it is the Geek of the Week, and we actually originally had Toastmaster Umar Shahid doing Geek of the Week, but he has excused himself due to some commitments. So instead, I will do a brief Geek of the Week. And of course, how can we not talk about this image? By now, everybody knows what this is. I hope everybody can see it.
Yes, it is quite visible for all.
All right, all right. So it's from the James Webb telescope, and it photographs one of the remotest parts of the universe that we have ever seen. And there is so much to see here. It will be months and years before this image is completely analyzed and deciphered. But just to give all of you a brief idea, what is so special about this image? First of all, this image is looking billions of years into the past. That means that whatever you see here, some of these things actually existing billions of years ago, and their light traveled to us now. And now our telescope is seeing. Secondly, if you look, each and every one of those dots is not a star. It's either a galaxy or a cluster of galaxies. And a cluster itself, a galaxy itself has billions or trillions of stars. So just imagine the immensity of the scale of the universe. And, you know, when asked what is the relative scale of this image, like what part of our perception this covers. So I read somewhere, I might be misquoting, I might be wrong, but they said that, just imagine a grain of sand that you're holding at an arm's length. The size of that grain of sand is the size of this image that out of all the reality that we see. And the last special thing in this image is if we look towards the center, there's kind of a succession of curves. For example, if you see here, and there is this kind of blur, this blur, and exactly on the left side too, counterpart blur, and it's symmetrical almost. What is it? And I'm just zooming in so you can see it clearly. I wish I had some. Yeah. Oh yeah, there's an annotation. If you see this blur, and if you see this blur. Now, the most fascinating thing is it might not, and the key word is might not even be different things. It might be the same galaxy that we are seeing 4 different times. Why? Because the light from the galaxy is actually being bent by the gravity of the bodies that lie between that galaxy and us. So it's called gravitational lensing effect. The light is curving, and since it's curving, that means that you do not see the thing where it actually is, but where it is actually the curve is indicating. So since it's curving several times, that means that we are seeing 4 copies of the same thing. And this is something so fascinating because, we read about this effect as a theory, gravitational lensing, but today we are seeing it with our eyes. And I, for once, am overwhelmed every time I see this image. So I hope that we continue to receive images and we continue to analyze them. And what it really does is it makes us realize that what is our place in this universe and how tiny we are. And we may have different beliefs, but it does indicate that there is a grand design. Now, whether that grand design generated itself or whether it is by a supreme being, that is subject to our beliefs. But it's a lot stranger and a lot weirder than we thought. So with that, we will move on now to the prepared speeches. And our first speech is by DTN GK Ajay. His lead evaluator is Toastmaster Imran Rana. So Toastmaster Imran, please introduce the project and the panel of evaluators.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the Day. I'm sure I'm audible and visible. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, today DTM GK Ajay will going to deliver his speech from Visionary Communication, Level 1, Project 2, Writing a Speech with a Purpose. The purpose of this project is for the member. Just a minute. Okay, GKJ, you have shared the wrong evaluation sheet on the group. So it's perfectly fine. So the purpose of this project is for the member to write a speech with a purpose. The time duration is 5 to 7 minutes. The speech title is Swimming Pool. Before handing over the floor to the speaker, let me introduce the speaker. DTM Ajay is a member since 2015 who is passionate about self-improvement. Currently, he is maintaining the following streak: 776-day streak in Duolingo Russian language, 224-day streak in walking 7 kilometers daily, 615-day streak in vocabulary.com 50 questions daily, 748-day streak in book reading 30 minutes daily. So as we all know, GKJ is a passionate Toastmaster. So let's welcome distinguished Toastmaster GKJ with a speech titled "The Swimming Pool." GKJ, the swimming pool. The stage is all yours. Doctor. Before that, I would also like to introduce the panel of evaluators. We have round robin recommendators, DTM Talha bin Hamid and DTM Sashrib, and we have commentators DTM Saif Ali Sheikh and DTM Sudarshan. So all the DTMs except the lead evaluator. Where is our speaker?
I think he just disconnected. Let's wait for a few seconds. You
He
scared
ran
him
away
off.
due to you.
Yeah, exactly. You scared him. Let's wait for a few seconds.
Wasn't that one of the streak? You need to unmute yourself.
I was saying, let's just wait for a few seconds. or else we can move on to the next speaker in the meantime and then come back. So, and there's just one thing before we move on to the next speaker. Actually, for some strange reason, I fixed Toastmaster Khurram Saeed as one of the panelists for his own speech. So for commendation. So I would appreciate if that could be changed and someone comes forward since I for the panel for the commendations. I would appreciate it. Maybe you, Toastmaster Imran, or we have Toastmaster Muiz Naeem. Any one of you, if you can come forward.
I can do that.
All right, that's great. So now I'm handing over the charge to our lead evaluator for the second speech, DTM Saif Ali Sheikh. So over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day. And Toastmaster Khurram Saeed attempting a project from Motivational Strategy, Level 4. And the title of his speech is Feed Slavery. And the purpose statement for his project, the purpose of this project is for the member to learn about and practice facilitating a question and answer session. The purpose of this speech is for the member to practice delivering an informative speech and running a well-organized question and answer session. The member is responsible for managing a time, so there is adequate opportunity for both. And the time limit for the speaker, Toastmaster Khurram, is 15 to 20 minutes. And our commentator, Toastmaster Saad Shoaib. The second is Imran Rana, and a recommender, DTM Ajay and DTM Tala bin Hamid. Over to the Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you so much. And once again, since DTM Ajay is not online, I would ask our other DTM Sudarshan, if he can be one of, he can take up the slot for DTM GK Ajay for this one. Would that be okay, DTM Sudarshan, for recommendation?
Yeah, I'll do that. No problem.
All right. So everyone,
Recommendations, right?
yeah. For recommendation. Everyone, please put your hands together for Toastmaster Khurram Saeed. Toastmaster Khurram, it would be a good idea if you turn on your video.
Just before that, TMOD and the timer of the day, would you please tell me that the yellow and red light for the 15 to 20 minutes, when it will be there?
Yeah, actually, usually what we do is that we turn on the green light at 15 and then yellow at 17 and a half and then red at 20.
Okay.
That's what we do. Yeah.
Perfect.
And let me alert everyone, the attendees, that it is up to the audience to ask enough questions to actually fulfill the time of the project. That's my experience. So everyone, please be ready with your questions.
What? You think I'm the slave? I can see slave in all of you hidden from your own vision. Fellow Toastmasters, look at your life. How many times you have said to your own self, I'll do this task later on. This project still have a lot of time. Instead of this task, let me do something else useful, ending up doing nothing. Yes, I'm talking about procrastination. Procrastination is a shape, a transformed, a static form of slavery. I named as sweet slavery. See, you're the master of your mind, yet happily, sweetly, you enslaved yourself at the hand of social media, mobile phones, having fun and party all the time. And then some of you would say, so what? That's something between me and myself. So, but the great dilemma kicks in when your carefree, super cool behavior pull you away from the very purpose of the life you need to live. There's a procrastinator among each one of us. I used to be a procrastinator. In each of my exam, races, competitions, I rushed at the 11th hour. The last minute effort will pay off something, but you miss the distinction you are looking for. Although it's not always about distinction, prizes, and races. Let me introduce you to my friend Zubair. Zubair is the friend of the friend. It's always fun with Zubair. And he always used to say, I will control it. Everything is manageable. One day, Zubair's widow mother asked her only son, Zubair, I'm feeling breathless. I have pain and I'm not feeling well these days. Can you please take the appointment of the doctor? And our cool dude Zubair, as usually, for sure, ma, but not today. I mean, mom, I'll do it. You know, everything will be under control. I'll manage it. And the day passed. The day become weeks, weeks become months. And one day, when our cool dude reached home, hey ma, good evening. Wake up, mom. Mom? 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 What happened, mom? Hello? Please come. Emergency. Come. Doctor? Please save my mother, doctor. Oh no. What have I done? Doctor? Please tell my mother is okay, doctor. Doctor, please tell me, doctor. Son, you came very late. I'm extremely sorry. She was already dead. Death cannot be managed. I'm sorry. No, no, no. Fellow Toastmasters, why people do that? Because every matter in this universe try to avoid a resistive path. It deemed very difficult to a young lad like Zubair to spend a day in a hospital, which is actually nothing. It's a mind of a procrastinator. It is his subconsciousness that try to not feel him guilty about all the unjustified delays. It took you to the road of relaxation where action, time, priority, it doesn't matter, where these very chains deemed to be a protection against the actual meaning of life you knew to live. Fellow Toastmasters, there's a good news today. Unlike all viral diseases, procrastination is curable. But it will not be a 5 days antibiotic course. It will not be a target to achieve, but a lifestyle. I broke my chains when I started speaking on the very podium of Toastmaster International after 16 years of procrastination. When I won my Six Sigma Master Black Belt award after 10 years of procrastination. You can break these chains on humanity. by using 3 simple steps. Own it, solve it, do it. Own it, because it is not your circumstances or your capabilities. It is your choices that defines who you are. Solve it, because you are responsible for your actions. Plan the day a night before and then do it, because you are answerable to your own self as well. So plan the day a night before and give answer to yourself each next night. Fellow Toastmasters, you might have lived a life of a procrastinator, but would you like to die as a procrastinator? The choice is yours. For me, I have made my choice. I go against the street slavery because I own it. I take the matters in my hand and take the right actions, and I solve it. And because I'm answerable to my own self, I do it. Over to you, ladies and gentlemen, for the questions and answers.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Khurram. It was amazing to see this speech once again. And for those who don't know, Toastmaster Khurram is, and you know what, he is so modest, in fact, that he has never actually said this at Quantum Leap or in the forum. He is our district champion of public speaking. We are so lucky to have him as BB membership, and this was his winning speech. So the floor is open for question and answers, everyone. And remember what I said earlier. The speaker has done his part. It is up to the attendants to actually make this project successful. If we won't ask enough questions, we cannot fault Toastmaster Khurram for not fulfilling the time required for the project. So anyone? Yes, DTM Sudarshan, over to you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Khurram, for that very, very important speech. My questions are 2. Question number 1, many a times when we are a procrastinator, we don't realize it ourselves till somebody else points it out, because we think that's the way to be. For example, I prepare for all my assignments and presentations 1 hour before the actual meeting starts. The second is, many a times many people say procrastination is a symptom of a deeper problem. So if that is the case, what is your recommendation for someone to go and find out why they are a procrastinator as opposed to just starting actions to it?
Thank you, DTM Sudarshan, for the questions, and great questions actually. And look into a human nature, first of all. It is not only for the procrastination. Human natures is having a natural law of inertia into them. It is very hard to move when they are stagnant, and they are very difficult to stop when they are running, right? So with this perspective, not only procrastination, every aspect of your life, if you are a very big food lover, you continue to eat and eat till you become a balloon for the moon, and you know, you don't realize it that I'm getting that fat, right? The idea is that my recommendation for that part is that always look into your priorities of life. You, for example, I mean, you know it well. I'm not putting the spoon in the mouth, but some people have a vision board. And look into your progress each time. Are you progressing toward your goals? Excuse me. If you're progressing toward your goals, it means everybody have a slight of a procrastination. You cannot 100% eliminate it, but it means you are overcoming to the major part. But if you're not reaching to your timely decided goals, then there's a problem, and you need to look into that. And most of the time, it is related to the procrastination. Now, the second question was around, can you repeat your second question? Sorry.
So my second part of the question was, many times procrastination is the surface symptom of a deeper problem. The example that you gave of eating, people cannot stop overeating or eating sweets. Now this is a symptom of a deeper problem. So do you have any recommendations to address that?
Exactly. Okay. So see, my belief is, and for example, coming from the eating perspective, I will give you my own example. 2 months back, I was 98 kgs. This is the highest I have reached in my life ever. And now I am 87. So 10 kgs I have lost in last 2 months. Now the point here is that how I reached to this point, that are you satisfied with your current state 100%? And this is the question I recommend everybody to ask to himself or herself till grave. If you are every day asking to yourself that you are happy with your current state 100%, the answer will always be no. And when it is no, you will see that what are the areas you need to focus on. Definitely, if your financials is your biggest problem in the life, then definitely maybe a slight overweight is not the bigger thing to address at this time, because that's not priority. But if your overweight is your biggest problem, or your relations is your biggest problem, or your health is your biggest problem, that's you need to define your priorities. So my recommendation here is that keep, first of all, asking yourself every day that are you happy with your state. That will stimulate your thought process, that where you are standing and where you want to be. And that's the first kick point to think of everything. This is either a symptom or the cause of anything around. I hope I answered your questions.
Yes, very clearly. Thank you very much.
So yes, who else has a question? All right, I have a question, Toastmaster Khurram, and I believe anyone who works in an organization or any place really, they have fallen victim, and that is procrastination at work. We are supposed to do something, but then our subconscious, we find out that we can get away with delaying it. Nothing will happen. And there are some lines of work which are dependent a lot upon what other people do and how timely they respond. So if they are slow, we become slow as well. For example, in my line of work as an internal auditor, my report will not be finalized unless the audit client provides the data and unless they provide timely responses. So even if I complete my work super efficiently, it will ultimately get stuck. And when that happens, and you must be well aware of that because your speech was around that, your mind starts to think that what's the use? What's the use of being efficient? Let's put everything till the last moment. Everything will ultimately happen. No sky will fall over our head. We will meet our target. So how to control that?
It's an excellent question, to be very honest. And, this is something I believe we all face at least some part of our career, at least earlier or mid-career, because there we are more of a thought process that my work is depending on others to be completed. That's one way of thinking, right? So I would say it's a more stagnant thinking rather than progressive thinking, and which I just learned few days back. And to be very honest, that's what I'm practicing as well. Your progress or your reports or your task or everything is 100% depending on you, not depending on that either we are just waiting for the reports to come, or we act as a leader and we take the driving steering wheel in our hand. Now, just take an example of your kids. Every year the kids are having, the exams and learnings. So you're giving the fees, and from the first day you give the fees, are you just waiting for the results, or you are doing the check-in adjust and you are jumping in and you are asking where you have reached, what support you need, how I can, encourage you, how I can, motivate or move you on together. So it's more of a teamwork, but there you don't feel it because you're a father and you oblige yourself to do like that. This is a similar thing in the workplace. So when you are a leader, it doesn't mean that this guy have to report to you. It is a teamwork. So if it is something you feel that this thing is every time getting delayed because of XYZ, what you have done to put a mechanism or infrastructure in place that the people cannot delay it. Have you put some catch-ups around that one? A 15-minute catch-up, it doesn't have to be a 1-hour meeting every time. A 15-minute catch-up, because then that can drive the importance of that. So there are so many things a person can do rather than just waiting if he's a leader. So that's what my recommendation would be, that let's not be a waiter, be a leader.
Thank you so much. That was really useful. Especially I like the idea about catch up, because that forcibly engages whoever is delaying and delaying. And whenever you engage them enough, ultimately they do realize, even if out of embarrassment, they actually respond quickly. So yeah, that was very valuable. Any other questions? I'm asking for the second time. Any other questions? And I'm asking for the last time. Any other questions?
Okay, I have one question.
All right.
How did you come
Be
up
quick.
with this idea? Means, when did you thought about that I should deliver this speech for international speech contest?
Okay, that's a good one. Purely, it's not related to procrastination, but to how I come up with the idea. So definitely, with my mentors when I'm working, they are always giving me a very big room to play whatever you want to play, and that's a good thing and a bad on the other side, that then you have a big ground to run and you don't know what to do. Actually, the idea was that what topic I have a good grasp on, especially in addition to that, where I can relate myself, where I have the good personal experiences. Because when you can have your personal experiences into the story, then you're more confident into speaking, right? So procrastination was one of the topic. I am working from a couple of years on myself. I'm one of the biggest procrastinator I know to in the planet Earth. So I'm working on myself a lot on that, and based on that, that was the idea. And then I have more examples around that. And normally every time, every speech, I'm ready with the speech only 3-4 days before that. So every time I'm writing a new speech, so it was just a week before I come up with the idea that this is the speech I'm going to deliver on the final of the international speech contest. I hope I answered the question.
Thank you so much. And Toastmaster Imran Rana, I don't think you need to ask anyone about procrastination with respect to speeches. So yes. So with that, we bring the Q&A to a close. We are almost at the project time. So congratulations on completing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So we'll start with the evaluations now, and our lead evaluator is Toastmaster Imran. Once again, Toastmaster Imran, please start and carry the evaluation session.
DTM Saf.
Oh, sorry. I got confused. DTM Saf, over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, GTM Talha, and fellow Toastmaster, and in particular, aesthetic speakers. Today, we had a good speech, and I heard this speech is a lot of time. I'm not going to say you how I gone through with this speech. And one thing is very important, the lesson we are going to take home, that own it, solve it, and do it. It's a very, very to the point lesson. We are going to take it out. Toastmaster Khurram, you was calm, composed, and confident throughout your project. and the preparation is excellent. The dialogue in between you and Zubair, and Zubair and his mother was excellently prepared and executed. I'm not going to take much time on the positive side, since I'm getting the opportunity to say something else today. Toastmaster Khurram, whenever you are going to give the speech in any platform, you must have to prepare yourself. Instead of once the Toastmaster of the day is calling you and you are preparing yourself, you must prepare well in advance, set the stage, and immediately you have to start it. The second part, what I notice about it, the first part was slow. Like me, I always is very slow in delivering my project. So that somehow you disconnect in the first part. Once you start the story of the Zubair and the onward, that the pace was a good one. If I'm going to use my pointing out something, instead of I'm going to point out with one finger, I will use my own, the complete, the palm, instead of pointing out the finger. Because in some culture, pointing out the finger is not taking positive one. The second thing is, let's coming back to the question answer sessions. I always prefer to make the note when someone is asking the question. Because if you are asking a person to repeat the question, it's look little awkward. So try to make the note, diaries in front of you, make the note, and you will see the question has been asked before. Otherwise, it was perfectly organized speech. And yes, we are slave of ourselves. We always going toward the procrastination, somehow knowingly, somehow unknowingly, and that is inbuilt of all of us. Overall, it was a great speech, and looking forward to have more speeches from the champion. Let's move to the commentator side. DTM Saad. DTM Saad, you are with us? No, he's not here. So let's move to...
Sir, sorry. Actually, he's facing connectivity issues, but he did listen to the speech and he's asked me to convey his commendation points.
He's here now.
He's here.
Oh, welcome back. DTM
welcome
Saad, please, please deliver your commendation points yourself.
Saad, you can deliver your commendation point, please.
Thank you very much. And okay, so as for the commendation, Toastmaster Forum, we all know that you are a public speaking champion, so I can go on and on and on about those points, but the thing that I absolutely love were that you were actually well prepared for the speech. You had the mic. You you had the props. So it was one, and the next one was your vocal variety was matching the content one, and it was matching the roles which you were playing. So that's about it. Over to you, the lead evaluator.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Saad. And let's move to Toastmaster Imran Rana.
Thank you so much, lead evaluator. I'm sure I'm audible. So for the Toastmasters and guests, thank you so much, Toastmaster. Thank you so much for coming up such a wonderful idea, Toastmaster Khurram Saeed. We all face this procrastination problem number of times. So the idea, the points you have just mentioned, I would like to congratulate on that. Your body language was perfectly aligned with your speech, plus the way you used the stage, it was quite effective and quite very creative. And overall, I thoroughly loved your speech, plus the way you answered all the questions. So it looks like that you were fully prepared. So congratulations on delivering such a wonderful speech. Over to you, lead evaluator.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Imran Rana. Let's move to the recommendation. And who can be the better recommender and the mentor, Toastmaster DTM Sudarshan?
Thank you very much, Mr. Lead Evaluator. Fellow Toastmasters, just a couple of recommendations. First of all, let me congratulate you on the topic of the choice of the topic and the relevance of it for all of us. My first recommendation is with the subject matter itself. The word is pronounced as procrastination, not procrastination. So that is something that you should keep in mind. The second is the inherent trait of a procrastinator is to defer or delay things. And when you do that in a speech, the best way to depict that is through pauses. And that, I thought, was not in sync with your body language and with your props. Everything else was excellent. A slightly more paused effort would have actually enhanced your delivery. Overall, though, I think the content, the richness of it, and the depth of research was coming through. Just a couple of these points, and you will be hitting it out of the park. Back to you, Mr. Lead Evaluator.
Thank you very much, DTM Sudarshan. Let's move to our 48 by 14 Toastmaster, none other than DTM Talha, for a recommendation.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Khurram. And of course, it's already a district champion speech. So what I will say is, just because I have to nitpick as part of my job as recommender, but I felt at points that your delivery was a little over dramatic. There can be too much of a good thing. So you immersed yourself in your roles so well that it went slightly overboard. We've heard from our seniors in Toastmasters, there's a debate whether you should depict a role or whether you should play a role. And sometimes when you play multiple roles, it's slightly jarring, especially when you are depicting your friend's mother, and then of course the rough transition where she is discovered dead. That is quite jarring in tone. So maybe that can be toned down a bit to lend a better balance to the speech. That will be my only recommendation. And over to you, DTM sir.
Thank you very much, DTM Talha. And let's move to the speaker now. After the speech, question answers, evaluation, and recommendation, commendation, now it's your turn.
Thank you very much, lead evaluator. All the recommendations are 100% valid, and I took note of that one. And thanks for contributing into my success and learning.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Khurram, for a positive note. And by this, I hand over control back to the Toastmaster of the day, DTM Talha bin Hamid.
Thank you so much, DTM sir. And without further ado, we will move straight to our second speech. It has already been introduced. So I believe we will move straight to the speech, and then Toastmaster Imran can take over and lead the evaluation session. So everyone, please put your hands together for DTM GK Ajay, swimming pool, DTM GK Ajay.
Thank you, DTM Talha. Good morning, my dear fellow Toastmasters and guests. It was in the year 1989. I was enjoying my summer holidays in my lush green native village. So I was a kid then. One of the best part of that village is there is a well outside in outskirts of that village, which is primarily used to swimming by kids and mostly used to jump and swim. So I'm very much afraid of water, and I used to sit on the walls, on the edges of the swimming pool, and used to watch my friends running from behind and jumping into that well and used to swim. One day while I was watching, someone from behind pushed me into the well. I fell down into the waters and was struggling to catch hold of something for support. I struggled and struggled and struggled, but I was not able to find anything. I was so small and I was not able to find anything. To my luck, someone pulled me out of the water and I started crying. I ran home and informed my mother. And after a week, I came to know that the person who pushed me into the well was none other than my best friend. I did not talk to him for a week. Days passed, years passed. I completed my education, graduation, and joined in a corporate. One week, it was a team building activity, so we all went to a resort. The best part of that resort is it has a very, very big pool. All my colleagues were enjoying the swimming, having some food and enjoying, but I was sitting on the bench and was watching them playing in the water. At that time, at that moment, I decided that I have to learn swimming, and next time when the team activity is there, I have to enjoy with my colleagues in the water. So after returning home, I enrolled for a swimming classes in a swimming academy which is near to my home. The next morning, I got up early and got prepared with my all swimming dress and goggles and everything. My mother got surprised. Where are you going? I informed her that I joined swimming classes and I was going to learn swimming. She wished me and she blessed me and sent to the classes. As I approached the gate of the swimming academy, I saw few swimmers easily gliding through the waters. I watched them and envied them. Okay, when can I become like that? When can I swim like them? To my luck again, my coach is a state swimming champion. He gave me few instructions before he begins the class. The first instruction is, look, you have to make friendship with water. Until it is your friend, you cannot learn swimming. Second, always hold the brim or the edge of the swimming pool and lift your body and try to flap your legs. Then your body will be lifted in the water automatically. Third, put your head down and stay there for some time and bring it up for breathe. So don't forget these three things. I started following his instructions and he was teaching me. So all this happened. 3 weeks passed. In the fourth week, what I did is I just wanted to apply all those things, what I have learned at a time. So I slowly stepped into the swimming pool and then started doing all these things. You know, the depth of the swimming pool, it's a 4 feet. So it can be easily managed. So I got a little bit of confidence, and then the next week or the next and the next month, what I did is I went into the deeper pool. It is a 6 feet, and I started doing. I left all my hands and was swimming all alone. You know what happened? The same 1989 activity repeated. I started drowning, but this time the swimming coach jumped into the water and then grabbed my shoulder and pulled me out. I thought he will be showing pity, but he was scolding. He started scolding me. You, an idiot. Why are you in a hurry to learn swimming? You have to wait. You have to learn techniques. You have to be patient. So yeah, months passed. So at the end of 6 months, I was able to do different kind of strokes like butterfly stroke, breast stroke, or even backstroke. I was have a little bit of experience in swimming. My dear friends, believe me, Toastmasters is similar to swimming. Here, we may panic, we may stop, we may forget our scripts in the middle because we know the audience are enjoying our speech, but we feel that they are judging and they are finding out faults in us. That's not happening there. And if you want to learn swimming, you can't learn by sitting on the edge or sitting on the bank. You have to put one leg in the pool and the other one in the bank on the bank, and then slowly start learning it. Similar to that is the Toastmasters. This is the best place where we can fail and get a learning. The one thing I wanted to inform before I conclude my speech is that if we win here in small pools, then the bigger pool is nothing but a sum of small pools. So with this, I would like to close my speech. Thank you. Back to you, TM Modi.
Thank you so much, DTM Ajay. And what a delicious coincidence that this topic is so close to the heart of our lead evaluator. So without further ado, Toastmaster Imran, please take over.
Thank you so much, DTM GK Ajay, for delivering such a wonderful speech. I must say that you are a good storyteller. The way you described the scene of the village, the way you told us the whole story between your friend and the way you connected the speech, the opening, while you were learning again, learning the swimming for the second time, it was quite well connected, a delivered speech. The objective of the speech was to have a purpose, to write a speech with a purpose. So the way you brought the purpose, that means whatever, the way you connected the swimming learning with public speaking and with Toastmasters, it was quite amazing and quite inspiring. While you were describing about how you were learning the swimming, I was totally engrossed, because that is how I learned swimming. Means I know all the strokes, but not that much. But you can say jack of all, like that. But I know how to swim. The areas which I would like to highlight is that throughout the speech, it was delivered in a same tone. So you were throughout the speech you were monotonous, especially when there was a dialogue between your mother and yourself. You could have brought some vocal variety. The best thing about your speech, that you took meaningful pauses, and it was quite good. The way when the coach was describing through 3 rules of the swimming, and you took pauses there, and it was quite good. And finally, if you could have bring the vocal variety when you were drowning and the coach was coach jumped in. Then while you were, the coach was telling you about what you were doing, so you could have bring the high tone, or you could raise your voice so that it could be easily identified. That was again delivered in the same monotonous. Your hand gestures were perfectly aligned with your speech, but the stage could be used wisely if it could be delivered with the standing position. Overall, lastly, never say I would like to conclude my speech, because that way the audience will lose the interest in your speech, since the speech should be delivered in a way that the audience are connected throughout your speech. And when you were moving towards the end, there's no need to say that this is my conclusion, or my conclusion of the speech is that. Overall, I thoroughly enjoyed the speech and it was quite well connected. Now, I request the commentators first to share their 1 minute evaluation. And for that, I would request DTM Saif Ali Sheikh first to give his commendation about the speech.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Imran, and in particular, Toastmaster Ajay. What a wonderful speech. It's very casual, and you was so confident. There was no single point I have seen on your face any nervousness. It shows that you prepared the speech well, you practiced the speech well, and you perform the delivery well. There was 3 stories, all close to your heart. In 1989, the first time, the summer vacation, then you went to the resort and you concluded strongly. What a marvelous speakers you are. Toastmaster is similar to swimming. Wonderfully concluded your speech. I really love to hear more speeches from your side. Over to the lead evaluator.
Thank you so much, DTM Saif. Now we are moving towards our second commentator. He is none other than DTM Sudarshan. So, DTM Sudarshan, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Imran, fellow Toastmasters, guests, and our speaker, Toastmaster Ajay, DTM Ajay. This was something that resonated with me deeply. Having learned swimming just about a decade and a half ago, I can relate to every episode that you described, but the eloquence with which it was described brought out the trials and tribulations of learning how to swim and applying those skills, the true merit in your speech. What I particularly enjoyed was the quality of language that was used. It was lucid, it was lucent, and it was very cogent, which made it palatable for all of us to assimilate. The lessons were developed and delivered with a lot of sincerity, which made sure that the lessons will remain with us for a long time to come. Overall, I thought this was a well constructed, well concocted, well delivered speech and can go places if you want to take it and make it your brand. Thank you, and back to you, Mr. Lead Evaluator.
Thank you so much, DTM Sudarshan. Now we are moving towards the commentators part. And for that, let me welcome DTM Talha bin Hamid for his recommendation.
Thank you so much, DTM GK Ajay. And there's very little that hasn't already been covered, either earlier evaluations and the commenders. But I would still like to say, DTM Ajay, that this speech perhaps required a little more body movement and gestures. And while I don't think it's a rule anymore that you absolutely have to stand when you deliver, but this particular speech would have been helped if you had stood, because then you would have articulated the gestures and your trials and tribulations a little better, And that would also have perhaps helped your vocal variety, which was earlier pointed out. Otherwise, it was an absolutely phenomenal and engrossing speech, which grabbed us right from the start and did not let go till the end. Content-wise, everything was there. Only the delivery could have been helped by you standing up and being a little more expansive with your gestures. Over to you, lead evaluator.
Thank you so much, GTM Talha. Now we are moving towards the second recommendator, and he is none other than GTM Sashri. The stage is all yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lead Evaluator. I actually need to ask that, are we actually allowed to raise a protest here? Because Toastmaster DTM Tala just took all of my points as the recommendator. So Toastmaster DK Ajay, your speech was marvelously done. The content wise was good, but like mentioned, maybe just do something which I'm not doing right now, which is to stand up and speak and just work on your movement and gestures, but overall a wonderful speech and well done to you. Over to you, Mr. Lead Evaluator.
Thank you so much, distinguished Toastmaster Sashri. Now it's time for the speaker, DTM GK to please share your thoughts about the whole evaluation process.
Okay, thank you, Imran Rana. So I would like to thank all the Toastmasters who have commended me, and also thank the Toastmasters who have given a lot of recommendations. And most importantly, this speech requires a body movement, and I will deliver it again because it has to be delivered again with the improvements. So next time I will definitely stand and make a movement and then deliver the speech. Thank you so much for all for giving me the commendations and recommendations. Back to you, Lead Evaluator.
Thank you so much, DTM Ajay. So now we move back towards the Toastmaster of the day, DTM Talha bin Hamid.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Imran. And moving quickly forward, first of all, thank you for that evaluation. I'll be floating the relevant polls in a while we are conducting the meeting, which will be for the best speaker, best evaluator, and best round robin. All are qualified. Let me introduce our table topics master for today. She is a source of surprise and delight, even when she participates for a few minutes. She brings light and joy to everywhere she goes. And it is a wonder how she does all that despite her personal and professional engagements. She's our immediate past area director. And what's more, allow me to disclose, we just filed her DTM application. She will be the first DTM of Quantum Leap, inshallah. And with that, I hand over the charge to Toastmaster Iram Rizvi, our table topics master.
Thank you very much, DTM Talha. If I hadn't noticed that in the participation list, there was only one female and you were saying she, I would have thought it's somebody else. Thank you. And Assalamu alaikum to everyone. And please welcome my newborn. This is his very first meeting today. That's Yusuf here. And he's attending here as a table topics little master. So you all are aware, we do not have a guest that I need to repeat the rules for the table topics. So I'm going to very quickly go ahead and tell you that what are we going to do today. Today in table topics, we are going to talk about if. Whenever we get an option of if, there is no right or wrong. There is always one side that we are either inclined to a little more, or the other side a little less. And at times you're confused between both, that if we could get both of them. Your choice, the choice completely depends on you, but you have to do a very proper speech with a proper opening, with a proper closing, conclusion, just like how table topics happens. And having a message in it, of course, that when you do a speech, even for a 1 minute, this is the practice that we do, that if you're called into the office or somewhere to give a comment, then we should have a matter in hand. So I'm going to call upon someone who can really align this nicely. So let me call Toastmasters, or everybody can do it nicely. Everybody is experienced here. Toastmaster Khurram Saeed, I would like to give the first topic to you.
Hello, Toastmaster of the table topic master of the day.
Hello. So Toastmaster Khurram Saeed, if you could have one of these powers, what would it be? See the future or handle the time? If you could have one of these powers, what would it be? See the future or handle the time? Over to you.
If I have a choice to do, definitely I will go with the combo, which is handle the time, because handle the time means I can see the future and the past, and definitely I'll go with that. So then I will go and see that how many kisses and diapers has been bestowed upon me from my mother, and what mess I was when I was a kid. And then I will go and see that how my old guy looks like when I will be reaching to that part. And that will be a fun part, rather than, going and stealing almanac from the future and then coming back and betting on the horse ridings and be the billionaire next in the world, and be the gangster monster of upcoming world. So it will be a fun time. On the other hand, I would like to ask you that if you are offering from where I can apply and get those powers, because I'm highly interested. Over to you, table topic master.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Khurram. My next topic would go to DTM Saif.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, DTM Saif, you have two options. What would you select from these powers? You could fly, or you could always remain young as you are. You have two options. What would you select? You could fly, or you would remain young as you are. Over to you.
Thank you very much, DTM Aram Rizvi, and the young master with you. I will still want to be as young as I am today. If someone is asking me how old you are, do you remember? My answer is, I'm still 15 after half century. Why I'm saying I'm still 15 after half century? The reason behind that, I just want to left the 50 years. I just want to still be a young. If you are young, you have a lot of opportunity, lot of things to do. And that's the reason I would like to stay young. Why I want to stay young? Because I need the company of the young like you and others. If I'm having a company like you, I would like to be young as ever. Over to the table topic master.
Thank you very much, DTM Saif. And here we have come to the end of our table topics because we are very short on time. So can I please ask the timer to share the timing report for both the speakers?
Yes, both the speakers more than qualified. They barely spoke for 1 minute and 10 seconds. So they also helped our meeting timing.
Thank you very much, TTM Talha. And you all are going to receive the link for voting for the best speaker among the two. And I hope you practice this if today. Let's do that for the day. That do it.
I think we lost her connection.
She's back. She's back. She's back. So thank you so much, Toastmaster Iram Rizvi. And without further ado, now let's hand the charge to our journal evaluator, DTM Saf. Over to you, sir.
Let me unmute myself first. Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the Day. I really enjoy being the general evaluator. And you know what happened today with me? I totally forgotten that I'm a general evaluator. The reason behind the activities throughout the meeting is so attractive and so indulge myself into the meeting. But anyhow, let's go to my part. First, I will call the evaluators, language evaluators. Toastmaster Saad is a language evaluator.
Yes, I'm available.
Yes, he's
Thank you very much.
statics contributor.
Thank you very much, TTM Saif Ali Sheikh, Mr. President, so fellow Toastmasters and honorable guests. A lot of good usage of language we heard, and just to name a few, we had a speaker use make friendship with waters. Next one was connect the gap, and the last one was I seem to be missing that, so let's move on to the things which can be worked upon. A speaker use bring it up for the head. So maybe we can use to elevate the head, and the next one was a person use get learning. Maybe we can use learn to make it more easier to understand. And as for the word of the day, the word was aesthetic, and it was used by TTM Sudarshan and right at the end by DTM Saif Ali Sheikh. So with that, it's over to you.
I object. I used word of the day even before the meeting, 12 hours before the meeting when I floated the agenda. So please keep that in mind.
Yes, you also did when I was not in the meeting. So with that, it's over to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Toastmasters DTM Saad. And by this, I hand over control back to our Toastmaster of the day.
Sir, your journal evaluation, sir.
Oh, my general evaluation is still part of that one. Okay.
Oh, yes.
Let me quickly say this. Today is we have started meeting on time. It's and the proceeding is wonderful, seamless proceeding from the Toastmaster to the keynote speaker, the geek of the week, and then the Toastmaster of the day and the speakers. Throughout the whole meeting was well planned, well managed, and well executed. And the credit goes to none other than TMOD. And at the same time, I would like to appreciate the table topic master. She knows the time constraint and she herself limited to only 2 speakers. It's called a leadership quality to conclude and manage the things as per the time requirement. And my report is end, and I hand over control back to TMOD to conclude the meeting at least at 11 sharp.
Thank you so much, sir. But unfortunately, it's not up to the TMOD to conclude the meeting. It's the president who concludes. But anyhow, I'll just point out one thing. First of all, I'm super amazed by the fact that our keynote speaker exceeded his time, which is not entirely unexpected, by the way. He always does. And it was totally worth it. He ended at 17 minutes and 24 seconds instead of the allotted 15 minutes. And we started 3 or 4 minutes late, by the way. And even then, our prepared speeches session started 1 minute before time. So it was an amazing recovery by everyone in terms of time. Today, each and every one of the participants was very conscious about time. And everybody contributed to this superb performance. So, sir, I'll hand over the charge back to you as the president to officially conclude the meeting. But before that, I forgot. Before that, let me announce the polling results very quickly. So all our voting has been very close today. Our best speaker goes to Toastmaster Khurram Saeed. Congratulations. Best evaluator, by just a difference of 1 vote, and that vote was not mine, by the way, goes to Toastmaster Imran Rana. Congratulations. Best Big Three, I'm launching right now. Please vote in the meantime. And best round robin evaluator goes to DTM Sudarshan. So, and as the poll is complete, TMOD wins the best Big Three. Thank you so much for your confidence. And over to you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, fellow Toastmaster. Did you enjoy the meeting today? The credit goes to the Toastmaster of the day. He put his heart and soul to make the thing happen. Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the day. Fellow Toastmaster, we are exceeding the limit of our time. If any business is here, is any business?
No.
By this, I'm going to use this one, the gavel. This means if I'm going to hit 1 time, it's mean meeting is adjourned.
Thank you so much. And I'm stopping the live